I've been dreading this. I've been absolutely dreading this. But since I just reviewed the first Alien vs Predator, I had to follow it up by reviewing the sequel. Why? Why do I do this to myself? I knew when I started reviewing the Predator series it would go Predator, Predator 2, Predators, Alien vs Predator, and then this. Believe me, I wish it could have stopped before this, I do. But no, as much as I never wanted to see this film again, it was my duty to complete the franchise. And mark my word, this was my second and last ever viewing. Aliens vs Predator Requiem is a complete and total disaster. It is an insult to fans all around. Now, the first AVP was alright, not great, but it's a Picasso when compared to this. The story is awful, the acting is worse, and you can't even see what the fuck is going on 90% of the time because it's the darkest film that I have ever seen. Fuck the CGI budget if they ever got one here, who would know, because the aliens and predators spent the majority of their time encased within the shadows. And that was before the power grid went down. What, they ran out of money? They couldn't afford to pay for some lights in the set? Honestly, how the hell did this even get approved for release? If I was a filmmaker or anyone associated with making this, I would be ashamed and I would scrap it immediately if this was the final product. I'm ranting a little here and I don't care because Predator is my all-time favourite sci-fi film and this tries to spit in its legacy. It fails to do that as well, mind you, like it fails everywhere else, and I intend to give this as hard a time as I can because for both Alien and Predator fans, we deserve better. So, let's start with the story. Continuing off right on the heels from the first AVP, the Predator-Alien hybrid which burst from the Predator's chest at the end begins to wreak havoc. Ambushing one predator and causing the ship to crash, a crisis was on the verge with this thing loose in a rural Colorado town. A distress signal was sent from the crash by the surviving predator. Didn't last long, mind you, as the Predalien made quick work of him, but the signal was successfully sent. This gave us one of our rare bright spots. The signal was received by a battle-worn and veteran predator on their home world of Yauta Prime. Seeing their world for the first time was a heck of a sight. It was brief, but it begs the question, maybe one day a film could take place here, at least we can hope. Now, seeing the situation that was unfolding, our predator took it as his responsibility to travel to Earth and to clean up this mess. The Predalien had already taken out multiple predators and, with facehuggers also escaping from the crash, it wasn't the only thing our predator had to worry about. An outbreak that couldn't be contained was a very real possibility. It arrived on Earth and got rid of the evidence of the crash. Then it began its hunt. The predator followed the trail down into the sewers, laid traps, roared to bring attention to itself, then proceeded to wreck anything that got in its way. Now, watching this experienced predator go to work was another highlight. Seeing it take on various aliens all at the same time and having two plasma casters showed what a force to be reckoned with a predator could be. It's a shame again it was hard to tell what was going on, but since it was in the sewer, I can at least be a bit lenient with this scene when it comes to the lighting. Now for the more human side of things. Whilst the Predator was tracking and chasing down the Predalien, the poor town of Gunnison and its residents all had to suffer the consequences. Sheriff Eddie Morales was trying to keep things under control. He shared the lead with Dallas, a man recently released from prison, I think. Again, this film doesn't exactly grip your attention, so forgive me if I'm wrong with that one. Anyway, neither character is particularly special. I didn't find the sheriff to be that good of a character, and we found out how naive he was in trusting Colonel Stevens over the comms, but I suppose Dallas was okay. His brother Ricky had quite the amount of screen time though. The writers attempted to give him some half-hearted love story with Jessie, but it just fell flat and she suddenly met her end when the remaining survivors were trying to get to the top of that hospital. That was basically it. Those who trusted the sheriff went to the centre of town to await an evac, and those that didn't went with Dallas and Kelly. She was the military expert of the group and the chopper pilot if they could make it to the helipad. Kelly was alright as well, to be honest, and she helped Dallas kick some alien ass as they fought their way through the alien waves. And surprise, surprise, look at how the film ended. Once again, we have ourselves another draw. I said in my AVP review that they always fail to make a choice, and that replicated once again in the sequel. Morons who wrote this, seriously. The Predator whooped the hide of anything that came before it, including the Predalien in that hospital. And as the wrist blades went through the Predalien's skull, the tail of the Predalien, the same move I'll point out that killed the Predator in the first film, once more found its mark. I swear to God, if they ever make another one of these, I guarantee you they will end it the same way. My overall verdict for Aliens vs Predator Requiem is a 3 out of 10. It is a shockingly bad film. The worst in the Predator franchise, easy, and it is a film I never intend to watch again. Thankfully, in at around an hour and a half, the movie is a tad on the short side. That is a saving grace. Once again, I fail to understand how you can fuck this up so much. The first film at least had A, a solid lead, B, Wayland, and C, not as bad of a story, so surely they could see that on paper this wouldn't even come close to the first. No character sticks out. Every single person in the film is bland, uninteresting, and someone that you will forget the name of in about 10 minutes or so. Dallas and Kelly are the only two that are partially okay, but neither are exceptional and they get dragged down by the rest of the film. Now, I've mentioned the lighting already, but holy lord, what the fuck, it needs mentioning again. I do not give a single solitary fuck if the power grid went down. That was a good chunk into the film and scenes were mega dark previous to that. It's no excuse and it felt like you were squinting to see what the fuck was going on most of the time. It's a shame too because it bogged down one of the only cool scenes when that Predator was down in the sewer, which, by the way, was the best scene in the film. As a Predator fan, seeing this elite, battle-worn badass of a Predator whoop alien ass all over this little town was pleasing to see though. Nearly all of its weaponry was on display, if you could see it that is, and I tell ya, that blue liquid stuff sure does come in handy. The odd soundtrack is pretty cool too, which again is mostly related to when the Predator is on screen. Now, the idea of the Predalien being the main enemy was a smart concept, but I have a question that someone may be able to answer. Remember in AVP when our main Predator could see the alien about to burst from Sebastian's chest? Well, if it could see that, why couldn't any of the Predators at the end of the first film, or the ones that laid the Predator down on the ship, see a Predalien was inside it? It's not like it was covered in armour or had its cloaking on, so I'm genuinely curious, is that a massive plot hole, or is there some explanation to this? Now I'm going to stop here because I've wasted enough energy and air talking about this film now, so the less I continue to say, the better. So I'm going to stop here. Aliens vs Predator Requiem is a disaster. Save your sanity by not watching this. It's terrible in nearly every which way, and its only, and I mean only, saving grace is that we have aliens, predators, and that they fight. That's your score. 1, 2, 3. End of. Do not go and watch it. For your sake, if you do, don't say that I told you so. I didn't know if I'd make it through this film, but what did you all think of AVP Requiem? Am I being overly critical? I don't think so, but what is your take on the film, and if there were any other saving graces that I missed, what were they and what was your highlight of the film? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.